Hey guys, Dennis Herring here from the 3D Leadership Podcast. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Wanted to share with you guys tonight from a topic called Have I Maxed Out? It's from coming from the perspective of the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, where I encourage you to go back and read the story yourself just to really get a feel for what's going on. But essentially, a master gave his slaves some of his possessions, some of his talents, and over time, the master came back to collect on those again after he came back from his journey. And of the three slaves that were involved, two of them were given more than one possession, and they came back having doubled that number. The third one was given one, and he basically, the individual basically buried it and just came back with the one. And the moral of the story is that the master was very happy and impressed with the slaves who came back with more because they really made use of the talents that were given and actually earned even more back. And the one that only had one just dug it in the ground and basically brought it back. And the master made the statement saying that had I given this talent to the bank, I would have gotten better interest with it. But one, it shows that you did not even try to make anything more of it. But two, you were actually worth less than the bank would have been to me because you literally did nothing with it, just dug it in a hole and basically left it there until I came back. Versus the other two slaves that they were willing to create more talents and came back having doubled the result. The whole idea behind this is that many of us go through life very much so routinely allowing things to happen and not really ever maxing out our potential. Now, before you claim this concept of, I don't know if God's called me to do this, that, or the other, that's fine. Ultimately, the idea is that the Lord tells us to do all things to the glory of Christ, to do all things as though we're serving Him, which I believe is in Philippians. And if not, double check me on that. But essentially, it's this concept of what am I making of the life I have on earth? Am I maxing out my gifts? Am I leveraging all the talents I've been given for His kingdom? How am I maximizing the gifts and talents I've been given, the resources I've been given, the funds I've been given? How am I leveraging what I have to build the kingdom? Because in the scripture it also talks about in that parable, it talks about how to whom much was given and much is required. It basically gave proof to the master that he can entrust those other two slaves who came back with more responsibility because he knows if he gives it to them, they will also help to multiply it. But the last slave that doesn't need to worry about him because next time he'll just give it to the bank instead if he wants it to be saved. The third slave just saved it and came back with what he was given. The other two really duplicated it and showed they're a positive. They had an ROI. They had a positive return on investment. So the question I have for you guys watching tonight, is I got a few on you on here, is to say with what you have in your life right now, whether it's your church, whether it's your job, whether it's your family, whatever it may be, what there's areas of your life that God's blessed, or that you have gifts and you have talents that you could leverage. My question to you is this: how are you maxing that out? How are you making the most of those opportunities to use those gifts, to use those talents, to really live a holistically full and purposeful life? The biggest concern I have for anybody watching this is that we don't max ourselves out, that we aren't living a purposeful life. Not just living on purpose, but maxing out our purpose, making sure that every area of our life is being leveraged well. Because at the end of the day, all we have is our gifts and talents and our time. So the question is, how are we maximizing our time here on earth to be able to show God that we can receive more? Even show our job, we can receive more. If you're not coming from a Christian perspective, the more you show that you can be entrusted with a few things, the more things will be given to you. Just like a job, the more you show you're going above and beyond for your job, the more responsibility you'll be given. Ergo, a promotion, ergo, a new job offer. It's a very simple principle. you show that you can be successful with managing and growing what you have now, you'll be entrusted with more. Whether it's the biblical perspective or whether it's somebody who doesn't believe that perspective, the principle is the exact same. It's just like if you had seeds in your backyard. Just because they're there does not mean they're going to grow, because you still have to water the seed and put it in good soil. The question for you tonight would be, the gifts and talents you have, are you putting them into good soil? Are people in, is your soil good for people to invest into? In other words, are your talents, your gifts, how you behave, your personality, would somebody invest money into you? Would they entrust something to you? Would that be a worthwhile investment on their end? And that's ultimately the question I have for you tonight. Have I maxed out? Have I maxed out all of my resources to prove that I can be given more, whether it's by my job, whether it's by friends, whatever other opportunities come my way? Coming from a Christian perspective, have I maxed out my resources to show God I deserve to have more because I've proven I can manage it, I can steward it, you can entrust me, just like the master is able to entrust the two slaves from that parable of the talents. So, to close out tonight's session, I just want to challenge you and encourage you, before you ask God for that next opportunity, check in your own life how you're maxing out your gifts, talents, and the resources you have. Are you making the most of everything you have before asking for more? Because it could be that you haven't received more yet just because you haven't maxed out yet. Think of it this way from working out. Last analogy. You're like, when you do a max rep, you're looking to see how much you can push. Because right now your max maybe 100 pounds. But hit that max, give it a few days, you've increased the maximum now because your body's getting stronger. So now your body's able to physically handle more. Because you're maxed out at 100 before. So had you tried 150, you would not have been able to lift it. So maxing out what you have now will help you increase your capacity to be able to handle more in the future and steward it well. So in closing for tonight, all I have to ask you is this: have I maxed out? Ask yourself that question. Have I maxed out? And let that be a question you ask yourself in the year of 2024. And just watch as you make that a focus to max yourself out and leverage all the resources you can to live a purposeful life. Watch what doors open, what opportunities come your way, and watch your responsibility and capacity begin to increase because you're choosing to make the most of every opportunity. Have a good night, y'all.